Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us once again on the Daily Support Call. My name is Marcus from How To Project. Today, I'm very fortunate to have my good friend with us. His name is Levi Sanford. Say hello to everyone, Levi.
Hello, everyone.
Give us a bit of an introduction to yourself and what it is that you were doing before, and kind of what are you doing now?
Yeah, great question. I'm an online marketing expert. I've been in the space about 11 years. Advertising, funnel creation, marketing strategies, all those types of good things. And what I was doing kind of before, say, the last month has transpired, is really focused on serving speakers. Business speakers, holding seminars, workshops, really ethical speakers that come from a good place, do right by their customers, and are genuinely, positively adding value to the world. And it's kind of my passion to support these speakers. And I've done a lot of different services in the online advertising and marketing world, but I've really kind of identified that as my niche. So obviously you can imagine once everything started to become more socially distanced with how we gather in groups and how we kind of go about our daily lives, our business was really affected. We were really impacted. Of course, all of our clients started pulling out of contracts. We lost about 6 figures worth of committed contracts and committed revenue for ourselves, for our business, all within the span of about a week. And in fact, it was that week that I was in Toronto with you, Marcus.
Right.
And so this isn't the first time that something catastrophic has happened in my professional life or in my personal life. When I first started off doing the online marketing type stuff that I'm doing now, it was actually affiliate marketing. And basically I was promoting other people's products and services, creating Facebook pages around those niches, and punting any kind of offer that had any kind of relevance to these niche pages. So I had NFL pages, I had video game pages on Facebook, and then I would find an offer like a free tickets to the Twilight movie, which I talk about a little bit in my story. When I started out doing this, I didn't realize that these offers were actually kind of illegal and kind of scammy. So what ended up happening was all of my pages got taken down overnight. All of my ad campaigns, I had about 47 different Facebook pages that I was running and managing, all with in excess of 40, 50,000 likes or followers per page at that time. And one was over 1 million, the Twilight Facebook page. And I was making really good money, and I was really happy with where my business was. This was the first time that I established myself as a professional. I had a real asset. I had a business. I had revenue coming from someone with no background in this type of work, with no degrees, no connections. In my young 20s, I was just thinking, this is it. And finally I found something that's working, and my life is finally on track. It's finally great, right? And I think a lot of us can probably relate to that, with things being really great right before COVID-19 started to change the way that we do business and change the whole landscape of society. So what happened 10 years ago with me losing all of my pages, all of my ad accounts, all of my assets, everything overnight, was really kind of a transformative process that now I find myself in yet again. But the difference is that this time I'm not as shaken emotionally. I'm more rational. I'm more intelligent with how I'm able to pivot my business and how I'm able to transfer my skills. One of my buddies runs an organization where he helps police officers transfer the skill sets that they've acquired in the police force and be able to utilize those in creating their own businesses.
Right.
And I love what he's doing with that business, because it teaches me a great lesson that we can adapt. And in fact, if we don't adapt, we're going to be left behind anyways. This is just the nature of life. It's the nature of business. We constantly have to adapt to the tools, the techniques, the strategies of our trade and of society at large and what people are doing. Once people started going online, we as business owners had to adapt to the fact that they're no longer reading, the newspaper so much. They're getting their news and they're consuming more content and media online. So as business owners, we had to start advertising more online, and we see that trend continue. So really, it's always been about adapting and rolling with the punches and being able to harness the energy. I'm not going to call it good or bad, positive or negative, but the impetus, this energy that is so concentrated right now, and it's creating fear, it's creating uncertainty, it's changing the landscape of how we live our lives and run our businesses. People are all at home. People are have less distractions. They're not running as many errands. We have more time with our families. We have more time behind our computers. And now more than ever, it's time to be able to adapt and reach those people. So what I'm finding is that pivoting my offline live event promotion business to the online world has been quite seamless. So that those 6 figures in revenue that we lost as a result of losing all these contracts and losing all this promised work, we've been able to go back to these clients that have basically said, we're pulling out, we're done, we've got to pause for now until things calm down. And we're able to help them and support them and serve them by adding a little bit of creativity and saying, hey, let's do an online event. Let's use a platform like Zoom. And what we're finding is that not only are we getting better marketing results and far cheaper cost per attendee, our clients are experiencing far greater sales, far cheaper logistics. I mean, you think about the logistics of flying to a city to run a live event, staying in the hotel, the venues, the staffing, the amount of people you need to pull off that event, and the cost of the advertising to promote that event, to get people to show up, and people on the phones to confirm that they're going to show up, and processing those orders, and just the whole way of doing these live events, of making them so isolated city by city to where you have to travel to a bunch of different cities to do a whole tour. Whereas now our clients are having 1,000 attendees on their virtual live events, these online live events, and we can promote it anywhere. We know that certain cities have far cheaper competition on something like Facebook ads than other cities. So GTA area and Toronto is going to be more expensive than surrounding cities and surrounding areas that have less competition. And when your ability to serve and your serviceable market is greater than just your one city and your one small little radius around where you live, if you have the ability to really service and distribute your expertise, your knowledge, the way that you make a difference in the world, if you can pivot your business to be able to deliver your programs, products, and services in an online way, all of a sudden your horizons are expanded. So what we're finding, in short, is that we are doing better as a business. Our clients are doing better as a business, and we're providing a better experience to all of the clients and all the prospects that we're reaching, because now the ability to make an impact is far greater and far more accessible than it was before. So long story short, it's causing business owners to do what they should have always been doing, which is people-based marketing. And you see it large and small with businesses coming out and saying, we're here for our people. They're heart-centric and they're people-focused, which is what it should have always been about. So it's kind of a nice ice age in a way. And this is the way that I think of it. And it's, genuinely what I'm seeing. It's a nice ice age that is forcing everyone to adapt and to do right by their customers, and to come to them with messaging, and to come to them with the right languaging that says, we're here to support, we're all about you, here's how we can help you through this. So if you are the type of business owner that's open to change and understands that change is inevitable, and sometimes it happens really fast, the quicker you can pivot and the quicker that you can harness that energy, because there's a lot of energy And just like Aikido, you can take that energy and you can use it, to your advantage versus blocking it and saying, no, being in denial and saying, I'm going to keep doing business the old way. It's like blocking a punch if someone was attacking you, versus the Aikido way of doing it is taking that energy and moving with it, allowing that energy to go by you, and then hopping on that train and really harnessing that to your benefit. So there's incredible opportunity right now.
I agree. And you've touched on so many things. So let's get into it and unpack some of that. I love what you're talking about in the sense of, this is what people should have always done. Now, this isn't chastisement or judgment. It's simply, in my business, for example, remote project management and change management, being a management consultant company, we deal with 5 major challenges of business, period, like from the get-go. And those challenges, just for you and for those watching that might not be familiar, there's 5 areas of challenge in a business. The first one is leadership. Leadership is huge. The second is scalability. The third, which is your area of expertise and mine, is effective marketing function. The fourth is innovation. And the fifth is sustainable business model. And at any given time, back when, in the old way of doing things, any of those things could cripple your business. And having 2 or 3 of those, not with the proper systems, structures, culture, people, all of those things in place, cash flow, then you were at risk anyway. And so to your point, what we're going through now, the only difference is instead of those that proactively chose to work on those things now are reactively forced to work on those things, because it's survive or die really at this point. And I don't mean that in a personal way, I mean that in a business way. And what we're seeing, of course, is the other half of what we talked about was duration of change, right? Traditionally in my industry, when we're dealing with larger enterprises, let's say anywhere from $10 million plus, to completely pivot an industry can take up to 10 years, which who has time for that right now? Whereas what we've managed to get it down to is a 1 to 3 year process for a large enterprise. So we've been helping some of our small business clients pivot within a week. We've been doing a support call like this on a 1-to-1 basis at absolutely no charge to serve our clients, like you said. And we've helped them pivot from where they were to where they are to getting that first sale in less than a week. And it's getting through that fear, getting through that mindset. So you talked about Aikido as your example, which is beautiful, because having the skills for it is one thing, but the other reason people are resistant is because they don't know a better way, right? They have this mindset that this entire pandemic, it's going to go away in a couple of weeks and things will go back to normal. And something I've been reiterating again and again and again through this daily support call is no, things will normalize. Things will sort themselves out, but there will not be any going back. There will be, what do we keep with all the new things we've developed in order to thrive, right? In this ice age, as you called it. And that's been a recurring theme, because what you were doing, if it's not still working, right, then it wasn't going to keep working anyway. It just would have taken you a lot longer to see that. So in a way, it's a blessing that something like this happened business-wise, because it's forced you to stand up and go, okay, here's some areas of vulnerability we weren't aware of. How do we fix them? So the pivoting has been essential. Our business has really just been unbelievable, same as yours. Didn't really have a lot of clients pull out. In fact, pretty much every lead in the history of our company has called us up within the last month to say, can you help us?
Wow.
Of course, the answer has been yes, 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 until we no longer could, because we just don't have capacity. And I don't think that does a service to people either. I love how you talked about the ethics of business. And there's 2 things I want to touch on there. It's always been about serving people first. You know that. So I agree with you. Watching a lot of the things people are doing online now, how they're just serving customers for communication and to be a global community. It's one of the hashtags we actually use on this video. And I believe in that connectedness. I believe in the whole global community. It's why you and I have become friends, because we're very aligned in the way we execute as well as the way we think. And to see that is wonderful. The business mind of me, of course, wants to reach out to those people and make sure they're capturing lead data and everything else. But at the same time, serving people is serving people. And I love that. What I have seen, unfortunately, a very small amount, like for the most part, everyone has been amazing. But I was even talking with someone local, a local politician recently, about somebody who was going door to door selling because they know everybody's at home. I was like, now is not the time for that. Like, one, you're putting others at risk. Two, who's going to open the door, right? And three, it smacks of desperation, and you know, it has that whole traditional greasy car salesman appeal. Like, I'm just going to come at you in the middle of a pandemic because I know you can't get away. Like, I would not want to do business with somebody like that. So there's still some companies that aren't really quite getting how to pivot, and they're just clinging desperately to the old way and chasing the money instead of serving the people. I also loved one other thing you say, and I have to say this because we both know it's one of the two most important things, is you had a bunch of clients. I couldn't even imagine what was going through your head. Almost 100 grand in lost contracts. So that means these were already signed, already committed to, and they're calling you up and they're like, sorry, man, sorry. And after a while, I mean, that could just get to you. And yet, even then, you figured out how to help these clients. And here's the two magic words: followed up. You followed up and won back a bunch of that business and have now served your clients and helped them pivot and transition. So first of all, that's amazing, buddy. Like that is not giving up. That is tenacity. I mean, I know there's a lot of people listening to this right now. If they lost 100 grand in a week, that's it. I give up. Give me my 2 grand a month from the government here in Canada, and I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to ride this out. And if I have to go get a job later when there's jobs available, I'll do it, because losing 100 grand in a week hurts. I've been there, so I get it. And it hurts, right? Like, neither of us, as far as I know, is dealing in like a 50 million a year revenue business where 100 grand's like, whatever. No, losing 100 grand hurts. So that goes back to the core values, to understanding and believing in the entire process and system and culture that you've developed for yourself and for your team. The final thing I want to unpack with you that was from just that initial talk was, and you and I joke about this all the time, it's our favorite thing. There's no right and wrong. There's test everything, right? Test it, see if it works. And I alluded to it with duration. I mean, you know, in the old days, you might have the luxury of testing a little bit longer, getting a little bit more casual data, making a small change here and there as you navigate. But now it's like, okay, I'm going to test it for 3 days. It didn't work. Cool. Let's do something else. And not out of desperation, but just out of a condensed timeline, because cash flows evaporated for a lot of us. So being able to transition and pivot quickly to something that's of value to people, it's important to understand how to accelerate your existing processes more than ever. So let's talk about you though, again, for a little bit. What are some of the, tell me about that. Like, sure, it happened business-wise, but let's get a little more real with each other. What have some of your fears been? I mean, you talked about, I'm not going to go too much into it, but we were at an event together and we had a call in on day 2 of a 2-day event from day 1. And there was some miscommunication. It ended up being a false alarm. But even to see people on day 1 that were like, yeah, we're okay. We're all loving each other. We're still hugging and we're aware of it. This will probably be the last live event we go to for a bit, but we're okay in our mindset. And then there was a call to the hotel and a miscommunication. But essentially the message was that one of the attendees tested positive for the COVID-19. And within minutes, to watch the ripple effect in that room, to watch the fear and people demanding spacing and extra tables. And within 20 minutes, day 2 of the event was canceled because suddenly the fear just rose up and overtook everyone. And you live in Las Vegas. And like you said, that was a Toronto area event. My big concern was, dude, like, how are you going to get home? Like, are you going to be stuck here? Do you need a room for the next 9 months? Cause I got you. But once you got back, tell me about some of the fears. Cause first you go through that here, then you go back home, then all the borders start to shut, no planes and everything else. And then your business evaporates. Like, tell me the story from the personal point of view.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for all of that. Well, I think in times of rapid change, and this has happened all throughout history, people spend lots of money, energy, time, lives to prevent change. And they also do the same thing to expedite change. You look at revolutions, that's expediting change. You look at, overthrowing a government. You look at all kinds of different trends and different shifts in the way that the collective, society is consciously thinking about their world and these different things. And it's how you it really shows you what your true colors are. It really brings you back to the core beliefs that you have. And I believe that worry and fear and stress, this was kind of a big realization for me personally about 2 years ago. I was living in a lot of stress and a lot of fear and a lot of worry and just anxiety. And I realized that fear is really just a negative expectation of a potential future outcome. So it's just thinking into the future and expecting something bad and negative to happen. And I think logically, it's my logic brain. Does that ever help my current present moment situation? Does it help to be worried and concerned and fearful and expecting something negative? And let's just say, without getting too woo-woo, let's just say that our thoughts and our feelings and emotions do manifest physically in some kind of capacity, right? Let's just say that that's a thing. A lot of people believe it, some people don't. If it's true that our thoughts and emotions do create what we physically perceive and what manifests in our life, then why not think of something positive? It's not going to hurt you to think positively, is it?
Right.
So I think I come back to these core values of what makes me me and what I believe life is all about. And to me, it's to learn, it's to grow, it's to serve and support, and it's to become better stewards of this amazing opportunity that we have, which is to live a physical life on earth. And it's such a blessing every day to wake up. And I come back to a few core tools that I use for myself. So when I start to feel that worry, that fear, that stress, that it starts in my stomach and I identify it, I don't just ignore it and act like it doesn't exist, right? I'm not just putting my hands over my ears and ignoring everything that's happening, because that's just kind of ignorant. So we want to be aware of what's going on, but I identify it. And then what I do is I bring myself back to the present moment, right here and right now. And I take a deep breath and I look outside and I fill myself up with gratitude. So I said, I'm so grateful that I am healthy. I'm so grateful that I have clients. Maybe my clients are saying no to me right now, but how fortunate am I to be in that position? A lot of people don't have a business or don't have anything. A lot of people don't even have food right now. I have food. I have some money in my bank, right? I may have lost $100,000 worth of contracts in business, but there is always opportunity. And to me, something that I learned a long time ago, and I was doing door-to-door sales, which you being in my presentations, you get a little snippet of kind of my background before I started all this online marketing stuff. And that door-to-door sales in the worst areas of LA, East LA, South Central LA, as a, clean shaven, white guy with a bulletin board and a suit walking around a lot of these neighborhoods, that was not such a, safe and easy thing to do. And so I come back to that experience and I remember something that I was taught, and they said, well, every no is, closer to a yes. And then I one step closer to yes. And then I also remember that, I believe that no is really just kind of saying, I need more information and help me understand and guide me to a yes. And something that we discussed in Toronto was your whole concept behind, the yes close and getting those yeses and finding a way to synergize and work together and to find an outcome that serves you both. And if I truly believe that I have something that's going to help someone, then it's kind of my duty to be creative and help them through that and help guide them to what's going to be best for them. And for me, I've always put my clients and my customers' best interests first. It's not win-win. It's let me make sure that you win because I know I'll be taken care of.
Right.
I just read last night, in fact, I just read The Go-Giver, the book.
Okay.
Phenomenal, phenomenal story. It's only about 120 pages long, small little book. It's a great novel and parable, really, about laws of success and a lot of these, like the law of authenticity, and just how instead of being a go-getter, where it's all about me getting, it's being a go-giver, and what can I do to
Right.
serve, and how can I approach things a little bit differently. So when all of this started to hit the fan for me, I just kind of came back to, who am I? What do I believe? How am I internalizing what's going on externally? I don't let anything external, or at least I tell myself this, I don't let anything external impact and control my internal world. It influences my internal world, but it does not control me. It does not define me. I am more than my circumstances. I am more than what, bullies in school called me. I am more than fill in the blank, right? So I come back to this and I go, all right, we can do this. I can do this. Let me think of a creative solution. How can I serve? How can I give? How can I place my clients' interests above my own? Yes, our team is struggling. Yes, we just lost a lot of business. How can I adapt? How can I pivot? But keep my focus on what's really important to me and my values and my integrity, and everything always works out. We've survived this. If you are listening to this, it means that you have survived every crazy thing that's been thrown at you your whole life. Think of every situation you could have died from. You could have lost your business. You could have been, homeless on the street. Just the fact that you're watching this means you have an internet connection, you have a laptop, and just those two things, that's all I had in my early 20s when I had time, I had an internet connection, and I had a crappy little Apple laptop. Things have changed a lot in 11 years, right? What you can teach yourself on Google now compared to what I taught myself on Google 11 years ago, it far exceeds any library or any, academic curriculum. Not to discredit any of those things, but just to say that you have the tools and the ability to change your life yourself. You just need the motivation. You just need the inspiration. And I hope that in some small or large way, Marcus, what you're doing and how I'm able to participate in this may have some sort of positive impact or effect, even if it's just one person who sees this and goes, that's what I needed. In a world full of negativity and fear and control and a lot of negative beliefs, sometimes you only need to hear that one little voice inside that says, you got this, get back up, dust yourself off, find a better way to move forward. And, that's all it takes a lot of times. And so that's what happened for me. And that's what created a lot of the creativity. Creativity gets stifled from fear. When that cortisol runs through your body, you're not open to new possibilities. You're not receptive to the gifts that the universe, God, your higher self has in store for you. So keep your frequency or your energy. That's the thing that you can control and you can maintain. I think about what can I control and what's out of my control. Right now, I can't control what's happening in the world. I can't control how governments are responding. I can't control how this has changed and impacted society. But what I can control is what I choose to believe about it and what I choose to do about it. So I go, okay, that eliminates a lot of the fear and the worry, because if I can't do anything about it, then why worry about it? Okay, what can I do? Let's do that. Few small things every day, build the momentum, and all of a sudden you start getting some wins and you start getting things back, and all of a sudden you are creating your own momentum. You are your own economy. It doesn't matter if we're in a recession. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world. You are creating your world, and you are responsible for what you feel and what you think about the events that are happening. right? So be really aware of that and harness that for your own happiness and your own benefit.
It's first of all, thank you for sharing all of that. Like that, you want real, there it is, people. Like this is what it's like we're all in it together. No matter where we are now, we've all had our own stories, including you guys. Everyone's had their own story. And some of the things, I was making notes there, and there's some things I was going to bring up, and then you brought them up. So I was like, cross it off the note. But you're absolutely right. And I just love, you talk about energy and the way things vibrate, and a little woo woo is okay. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing: what you focus on does expand. I mean, most of us have gone through heartbreak in a relationship, whether it was a family member dying, whether it was a romantic relationship. For whatever reason, we've all experienced heartbreak. And all we could do was focus on that event and focus on the hurt, focus on the loss. And it felt like it's something that would never go away. It consumed us every waking moment, every sleeping moment. And we ended up just getting more and more and more of that. Eventually, though, part of the human nature, our focus would shift back to the other things in life, and we would find that we actually could heal and we could move forward and everything else. So there's definitely something to what you're saying, even in a quantitative physical space, not just in a metaphysical space. One of my favorite authors is actually MJ DeMarco. His first book was The Millionaire Fastlane. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And I've actually had like Ivan Meisner on here and some other NLP experts on here. And we've talked about what's great about the law of attraction, books like The Secret and stuff, and then where they fall short. And a lot of it comes to that taking action step. And something I love about MJ DeMarco, and I think you would agree with it because you described it to a T, is he believes in something called the law of affection. And it's what we're experiencing right now in the world. Basically, if you want to be a millionaire, affect 1 million lives. Mm-hmm. And I love that because it's true, because it sums up everything we've talked about. Go serve others in your unique and gifted way. Pursue that. Pursue improving the lives of others, and you will be taken care of, much like you said. So that's called the law of affection. And that's something I embrace fully. And it's one of my core principles. So when I'm not sure, when my compass is off, I always come back to things like that. One of the favorite memes I have, and again, you talked about this, is just as an FYI, your success rate for getting through bad days is 100%. And it's true. Like, you and I, especially, we love measuring metrics. We've got things we measure everywhere. But if we look back at our lives, like you said, no matter what our story is, no matter what health things we've been through, relationship things we've been through, business, geographical, political, anything that we've been through, that's the key phrase. We've been through it. And we have the ability within us to get through this because we've gotten through it all before. So many things there that you're talking about that I just love, that are just completely resonating within me. We've had a lot of fears. I was just talking this morning with my students, and another big component about what you're talking about. And I love how you know these things instinctively, even if you're not familiar with all the different modalities. There's one called state. And the first 2 steps is all I'm going to talk about is state the facts and then tell your story. And that's so important to separate those 2 things, because when we do get overwhelmed with fear, when we do get stuck in indecision, it's because we're telling ourselves these stories as facts. I could say, oh, every time we've talked, you never take me seriously. Well, is that a fact, or is that just a story I'm telling myself? Whereas when I look at the facts, the facts is he's facilitating a room full of 80 people and everyone wants his attention. So how can he possibly give attention to everyone? That's the fact of it. Right. And I don't actually feel that way. It's just an example. I've been fortunate. You actually give me all kinds of attention. But it's separating the fact from the story. And we've been talking about business owners right now, entrepreneurs, because that's both, we like to help businesses and we are entrepreneurs. But there's also a lot of people that had full-time jobs, employees that now aren't sure how they're going to have an income coming in. And even beyond the financial, and this is what I've been finding with people through this daily call we're doing, as well as talking to people through all the other methods that we use, is that sense of identity has always been confused with career. You ask someone, hey, what do you do? And the answer is, oh, I'm an accountant, or I'm a public speaker, or I'm a marketer. And it's like, no. That's That's not your sense of self, right? That's simply your financial function. That's simply what your skill set is in order to get money to actually do what you want to do. So when someone's like, hey, what do you do for a living? People think I'm a ha-ha kind of guy, because I'm like, well, I like to travel with my wife, right? That's what I do for a living. I like to serve others. I like to play video games. I like to do all of these things. And they're like, no, 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 I meant, what's your job? Oh, well, then why didn't you ask me what my job was?
Yeah, so
To
cool.
me, they're very different things. And I think right now what we're seeing on a very global scale, down in the States, up here in Canada, is suddenly everyone's laid off, and they have this identity crisis. Well, who
Mm.
am I if I can't provide? Who am I if I don't have money or food? Who am I? Well, here's who you are. You're someone who was loved yesterday, and you're someone who is loved today. Your value has nothing to do with your financial state. Nothing. And it never has. Like we've talked about, I mean, my first year, in business, even, I made a ton of money and then I lost it all and ended up worse off than I started. Did that define my financial state? No. I grew up from nothing. I came from an abusive home. I was next to homeless several times in my life, but look at where I am today. I have a roof over my head. I have the ability to develop relationships with other professionals who we can connect because of the things that we've been through. So yeah, like Levi was saying, take courage, take hope, and take satisfaction in knowing that you're going to get through. You're going to get through. So wow, I love where this is turning to. Um, let's bring it back though. Let's talk a little bit about pivoting, because it's one of the funny things we've talked about is fundamental shifts to business. Yet in many ways, business hasn't shifted for a lot of types of industries, regardless of how you execute. So whether you're a tradesperson, frontline worker, all of those wonderful people out there or not out there if they can't be, yeah, the execution part of your business may have drastically changed, but my email still works. I still have email campaigns going out. I still have leads coming in through landing pages and websites. My text campaigns still work. I can still pick up the phone and call people. So when you look at it again from that fact-based test everything tracking, about 80% of my strategy and my marketing is all working. What's not working for us? Well, I can't go meet you in person. Got it. So now we're leveraging a different technology. I'm not doing live events right now. Got it. So we've pivoted and started doing them online as well. Now, not everyone can do that. Like I said, that execution part is tricky, but I'll even give you a story of a plumber that we've been working with. Obviously, he's not out doing house calls right now, and overnight cash flow evaporated. So how did we pivot? We came up with the idea of a membership. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Most people haven't. So what it is it's now a monthly fee that's obviously a lot lower than a service call. And the idea is that over time, you're building up a credit towards a service call. Or if you need it before you build up the credit, then you split the difference at a discounted rate type of thing. And there's different tiers to the packages. And, some of them are dollar for dollar. Some of them are 70 cents on the dollar, depending on your tier. And the idea is, especially in times like this, when cash flow is so critical, which it always should be, but especially in times like this, it's so critical. If we can reduce that monthly hit and make sure that like 3, 4, 5 months from now, if this is still going on, which I think it will be, then you don't want to suddenly have like a $600 bill because something went wrong at your house when you have no income. So it's better to have that little bleed every month and then know that you're taken care of. And people are already showing interest in that. He's already signing up members. I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
It's like
It's how do
insurance.
you figure
It's
it out?
like insurance for your toilet.
It's you know what, we should just
Insurance
call it
month.
that. It's insurance for your toilet, more or less. That's hilarious. I'm going to tell him that one in our next call. So let's talk a bit about the details, not so much of my business and your business. I know we had talked about that before the call as being a topic, but for us, it's been relatively seamless because we already had such great systems and structures in place prior to this type of event, which again, for those watching, is a huge learning point. because each of us have probably been on the brink of disaster in the past, which is why we developed those systems and processes in the first place. But if you have any client stories, ones that you can tell without details or whatever, what has been one of the most challenging client pivots that you've experienced through this?
Yeah, great question. So I've also got personal friends running businesses too. So
Mm,
restaurants, and you look at gym owners as well, personal trainers, any type of in-person service uh, or product, and you look at particularly the ones that really require kind of an in-person meeting. And you look at a lot of gyms have switched to the renting out their equipment and helping, and trainers and nutritionists helping people at home. So it really is about just pivoting the deliverability of what you do. What is it that makes you magic, that makes you different from your competition, and how can you facilitate an at-home experience? My sister is a teacher for elementary school, and
mm,
she has had to use Zoom. So everybody is figuring out how to do what they do, but through Zoom. And so now she's teaching her classes. And for a lot of people, it's about taking their expertise and learning how to create a DIY version of that people, like a home study or a home course, or people are upskilling themselves. They want to be more self-sufficient. They want to be more independent. They want to learn and educate while they're sitting around basically doing nothing and the kids are running around like crazy all day. They want to be doing things and be helping themselves. And so a lot of service providers and a lot of companies that would otherwise kind of have nothing, like a you know like a restaurant, that in a lot of these cities they're saying no. Now obviously you can't do any in room dining, and a lot of restaurants have just completely shut down. And custard, there's a place called Custard Cup, and so now you can run in, you can get a pint of their ice cream, whereas previously you weren't able to do that. You would just have to get, buy the cone. So you see people pivoting, and you see a lot of businesses transitioning, but you also see a lot that are messaging in the wrong way and are being insensitive. So I think it's less about the creative ideas on how you pivot, because there are absolutely ways that you can do all of this. In Italy, there is a DJ that did a whole show on his whole block from his balcony.
I actually saw
So did
that.
you
Yeah.
see that? And he's doing a whole show, and you see the whole like block party, and everyone's like having a great time. So there's always a way to make it work, but how you communicate that is kind of the biggest thing. And it's always been about how you message and how you communicate what you do and how people can best utilize it. Now more than ever, people are sensitive to the messaging. So you see, like you said, you've got roofing companies that are now going door to door, and they're approaching people at their home because they know that they're going to be home. And the guy who's doing the house calls is coughing and is
Right.
severely sick. And this is a personal story of one of my mom's best friend's parents, her parents. And you can imagine they're quite old. They had attended some sort of seminar a while back. They somehow had their address listed on some kind of free giveaway or something like that. And now this roofing company, I think it is, they're going home to home, and they, being nice Midwest people that they are, invited them in. And the contractor came in and was coughing so severely that the wife had to just leave the room because she was so concerned that he was very, very ill, and he was doing all of these house calls. So you can understand that from a business perspective, there's more desperation, and business owners know they have to pivot. They know they have to be creative. They know they have to change their model, but some of them don't know how to communicate that and how to message that. And I think there's a lot of tact and a lot of, balance that needs to be in place, to where you're getting more pull from the market than you're pushing on the market. And there's this whole marketing concept of push versus pull. And a lot of us business owners are doing a lot of pushing, and we're used to a market that we can push around. Buy my stuff, buy, do this for me, do that for me, fill this out for me. but we haven't given. And 7-Eleven Ford, is a big concept with
Yeah.
7 hours, 11 touch points in 4 locations. That's generally what it takes for someone to know, like, and trust you and be willing to do business with you. And if you think about in terms of a lot of these businesses, they're not providing content and value that makes you pull on them to want what they have to offer. And they're not communicating this in a way that is adding value and content and getting that kind of, like they're looking to withdraw more than what they've deposited, is kind of another way that I put it a lot.
Yeah, and that concept, I mean, Google's the one that did those studies and came up with those numbers. And it's, again, not a new concept. And I think the key point we keep coming back around to is always been the same, is it's one, serve people. But really it's the duration. There's that sense of desperation now. I mean, in regular circumstances, I have every confidence that that roofing company representative, would have stayed home. I'm not feeling well today, I'm going to stay home. But because there's that desperation and that sense that there's no time. I mean, these are the same types of mindset things that existed before with people. Never enough time, never enough time, never enough money. I mean, that's Brene Brown's entire field of study, is the whole not enough mentality. And yet that drove that person to do something they would not ordinarily do, which of course has now turned out to be a bad experience for them. And it actually brings up another point I want to talk about. Hopefully you're doing this for yourself. We talked about sense of identity being wrapped up with your finance, but there's actually 7 areas of life. Everything from your faith, we've talked about that a bit, whether it's, the universe, void, religion, what higher self, whatever it is for you. There's family, there's friendship, there's your fitness. Right? Fitness is so huge. Like I'm used to working remotely, but for me, the idea of creating a remote project management company was so we could all work on beaches around the world, not so I'm stuck in my house all day, every day. And I'm a gym goer. I love going to the gym every morning. I love throwing around heavy weights, and I've been missing that. So does that mean I let my health suffer? No, I've downloaded an app that I enjoy the way it works and the prompts it gives. It's a body weight workout. It's short, so I make sure that I get it done every day, but it's intense. I think it's harder than some of the stuff I was doing at the gym previously. So I'm taking care of myself physically. Nutrition wise, we've been selective with what we've been buying. And my wife and I were actually transitioning over to plant-based as this was all unfolding. And we decided to commit to that decision. So now I'm eating a lot more vegetables than ever before. So the inflammation's gone. It's amazing how much that's changed the chemistry of my body. If you're in North America or Europe or somewhere where you have running water, if you're finding yourself struggling with focus or fears or anxiety, even increasing your water intake can bring about such a clarity and focus. And more than anything, for the love of God, get a consistent sleep.
Mm.
I mean, we're at home, and it's not that there's nothing to do, because especially if you have children, we don't. So we have a little bit easier structure here. But, make sure that there is some type of routine for your sleep so that you can recover from the stresses of your day, whatever they are. Like, don't simply just focus on, I have to make money today, or what am I going to do with my day today? But take care of you. Spend some time exercising. Even if it's going for a walk around the inside of your house, go for a walk around the inside of your house, right? And drink the water, get the sleep. And most importantly, and I cannot stress this one enough, a daily dose of fun. Just turn it all off. I know that's the only way we can connect with each other right now, but do something silly and fun. My wife have little dance parties. We do little silly dances with each other every day. And it doesn't matter how down or stressed or upset or whatever I am, that woman can make me laugh like nobody else. And you need that. So figure out how to have a daily dose of fun. And these new behaviors that we start leveraging, these new structures we start giving for ourselves, as things do normalize, as we get back or forward to whatever pieces we keep, don't get rid of those things. Like you talked about with gratitude. I know for both of us, a gratitude practice has been huge for years. So, that's who we were coming into this. It's who I'm going to be going out of this. So whatever new things people are testing and seeing what's working, keep doing more of that, even as things normalize. And you're going to be amazed at the difference it can make in your success, in yourself, your sense of self-being, and everything you do going forward, simply by the things you focus on right now.
I love that. And I love your point about income being directly related to the impact. So impact determines your income. In that Go Giver book that I just read last night, I was just looking it up. They call that um, I think that's the law of compensation. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them.
There you go. Same principle. Yeah. So
I love
yeah,
it.
love that. Well, actually what we'll do is, this is the first time I've ever pointed to the bottom of one of my videos, because this is relatively new to me. So right down there in the description, I know some people put it like right in the video. I'm not there yet, but down in the description, we'll link that book and some other essential links that, Levi and I will provide for you after the call. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a great read. It's a short read, and it sounds, like you said, impactful. So if we can impact one more life just by sharing that book link, then fantastic.
Absolutely. And you look at now the tools that we have available to us, our ability to impact has never been greater. So
Absolutely.
embody these tools, figure out how you can reach your customers, your clients. I love, even if it's not a message of here's a way, it's not an offer, still reach out and do the right things to when we come out of this on the other side, you were there to support your clients and your customers through likely one of the most challenging times and stressful times of their life. And so the people who are there to support us, I've gone through a lot of personal things myself, and the people who are there to support me through my challenging times are the ones I really appreciate and remember when things swing back and normalize a bit. So learn how to adapt, embody these ways of reaching more people, and think about how you can expand those who you serve. Take your expertise that you are only locally delivering and learn how to be able to distribute that globally. Think of how many more people you could impact and you could serve. And when you expand your impact, you expand your income, and you make your business future proof, recession proof, virus proof, to
Right.
where business will always go on. It just finds a new way of adapting and a new way of translating the greatness that's inherently within you, that you have inside you. So really focus on that, upskill yourself, build yourself up during this time. This is the time, like Rocky punching the raw meat. This is the time to run up those socially distanced stairs, that big
Right.
staircase, and really work on upskilling yourself to when we come out of this, your business is in a better position than before we even went in it. And that's what we're seeing across the board.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, you've opened up a whole other hour-long conversation talking about how, make sure we learn from the lessons we're going through, and risk mitigation, and being a little more proactive with your business. I mean, I'm going to wrap it up there, or else we'll talk all afternoon. So once again, thank you so much for your time today, Levi. I appreciate you. Glad to hear you're doing well. And you know what? I'm going to put the question out to you. You don't have to answer it on the air. We can talk about it another time. But how can I serve you through this?
Brother, you already have. I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you. I appreciate the opportunity to hear your positivity, what you're doing, the ways you're adapting, and to be part of the conversation, and to have the opportunity and the honor to be able to serve and impact, even like I said, even if it's just one person. Being able to have that opportunity is really what this is all about for me, being able to serve. So thank you a million times over, and I look forward to connecting up again soon.
Me as well. All right, then. So we'll just end it there. Have yourself a great day, everybody. Stay safe, stay home, and stay sane. It says it stopped, but it won't stop.